Topping today's news, the government committing to sending soldiers to Haiti to help restore order. Attorney General Pinder defends the government's decision to go with the Protection Against Violence bill and not the 2016 gender-based violence bill. The church remains divided on the issue of capital punishment, and the police continues to take firearms off the streets. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm General Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement that the Bahamas is committed to sending 150 officers to Haiti as part of a multinational force to curb the violence in that country. Prime Minister Philip Davis previously said leaders hope boots on the ground will not be necessary in Haiti. However, officials acknowledge that a multinational force in Haiti is far from certain and faces significant barriers. Russia and China, with their veto power, may not support a UN Security Council resolution establishing such a force. The resolution is the condition for the Bahamas' involvement. Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell said it would largely be Defense Force officers that would make up the numbers from the Bahamas. According to Commodore Raymond King, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is prepared for all eventualities. The Bahamas' commitment comes after Kenya said it would send 1,000 police officers to lead a multinational force in Haiti. After Kenya's announcement, the United States said it would soon introduce a resolution to the UN Security Council authorizing a multinational force to Haiti. Between 1994 and 1996, 141 Defense Force officers conducted security operations in Haiti as part of a United Nations peacekeeping operations. For months now, Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry has called for a specialized armed force from other countries to curb the social, economic, and health crisis in his country. In May, Social Services Minister Obi Wolscombe tabled the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023, and last week the bill was read for a second time and passed by parliamentarians in the lower chamber. It now sits before the Senate, which debated the bill today, with Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder defending the government's decision to replace the 2016 gender-based violence bill. We get more from the AG's contribution in this next report. After several nonprofit groups called the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023 that is now before the Senate an insult to the work done by the 2016 National Task Force on Gender-Based Violence, Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder explained that the 2016 draft bill needed further consultation and refinement.
Madam President, in 2016, after consultations between civil society and the government, and specifically the Minister of Social Services, a draft anti-gender-based violence bill was prepared for further consultation and refinement. Madam President, this was never intended to be a final draft. And in fact, consultations and amendments continued on the 2016 draft until today. Yes, the 2016 bill was voluminous. However, the consensus was that the bill needed work to be in a position to present to Cabinet, which would ultimately then advance it to Parliament.
Senator Pinder explained the government did not go with the 2016 gender-based violence bill because there were too many gaps between the actual and the desired performance, including no lead agency or authority and no intergovernmental mechanism for integrated information management. This in addition to major challenges in terms of implementation, monitoring, and enforcement of a national gender-based violence system, resulting in a weakened response to gender-based violence. Additionally, Senator Pinder says the government determined that a regime for gender-based violence only can lead to challenges.
The 2016 bill speaks entirely and exclusively to gender-based violence matters. It is our position, and that of esteemed professionals, that a regime focused only on gender-based violence has the potential to be confusing, and a broader application to violence is more appropriate. Madam President, I think it appropriate to mention that the suggestion to broaden the scope of the current bill to violence generally was done on the recommendation from the Crisis Center and the Department of Gender Affairs. Madam President, there are esteemed experts that also weigh in on the issue between narrowing a regime to just gender-based violence or applying a regime to broader violence generally.
In addition to a gender-based violence bill lending itself to potential confusion, Senator Pinder says it can also be potentially harmful.
Lumping all forms of gendered and sexualized violence together under a violence against women and girls framework without a sound understanding and explanation of the causes, drivers, and impacts of such violence on individuals, families, and communities is potentially harmful. A broad definition of gender-based violence that is not clearly grounded in sound analysis and does not draw on expertise and experience will lead to poor practice and potentially to ineffective interventions. We want to ensure that we are passing legislation on violence that is appropriate and avoids the possibility of confusion. We want to ensure that the desire of the Crisis Center in advocating for children and the Department of Gender Affairs in their concern that isolating a bill to gender-based violence will cause confusion as to only applicability to women are taken into account. And thus we propose the Protection Against Violence Bill. Yes, this is a shift from the 2016 bill, and we admit that. We admit that. But a shift that is supported in policy and supported in expert analysis.
Among the other things, the new Protection Against Violence Bill 2023 would establish a Protection Against Violence Commission to support victims and liaise with police officers when victims feel they lack full cooperation from the police. Gerino Saunders for Love 97 News. The church was not a part of the discussions with the government concerning the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023, which was debated and passed by members of Parliament in the lower chamber last week. Asked on Tuesday whether the church felt excluded, Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernando responded with the following.
This is what they decided to do. I mean, we got exclusion. The bill was sent to us. We assumed that there would be a gathering again. Apparently there was a gathering.
Were you at that gathering?
No.
So you feel excluded?
I feel this is their strategy. And this is the third administration that I'm sitting as president under. This is the third administration that I've sat as president under. And it happens with them all. And after a while, they come around.
While Bishop Fernando opted not to use the word excluded, he said the church was not fully consulted on the bill. The president of the Christian Council also noted that a similar course of action was taken by government in relation to other proposed bills. However, Bishop Fernando says the church will remain resolute in its mandate.
And understand that it's better if we work together than to try to work your plans behind closed doors. I'm waiting for the cannabis bill, so, it's at the Parliament, I understand. So my point being is this is the kind of stuff that gets to a point where at the end of the day, the church has to give strong pushback. Because we don't know. I mean, like you're saying that there's a bill at the House, and I hear some of the voices saying it's different from the one. We'd like a copy of the different one. We are a body that represents Christ, and sometimes we will be seen as not being on the same page as others' agendas. We are quite fine with that. It's better sometimes to work with us, even if we disagree.
Bishop Fernando's comments come on the heels of Leader of Government Business in the House of Assembly, Obi Wilchcombe, last Thursday, saying that the Bahamas Christian Council was one of the stakeholders that was sent the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023 on June 5th for consultation. The church remains split on whether individuals who commit serious or heinous crimes should receive capital punishment or the death penalty. This much coming from President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernando, who on Tuesday confirmed that the church is pretty much divided on this matter.
We're divided, and that's because we're different denominations, we're from different places of faith, that we believe that there can be a turnaround with anybody. But also, we also believe that the book is clear, an eye for an eye, that sometimes you've got to give a penalty for your actions. There must be some punishment that befits the action.
While not giving a definite answer on his personal views, Bishop Fernando says the church stands by its beliefs that one can change and receive compassion. However, he says a person should be punished for his or her actions. He says discussions on the subject will continue among the Christian Council.
Well, we always have those conversations in that whenever, when you were coming in today, we had a very robust time of sharing today, that there will be views, and those views are different. But at the end of the day, we can't force anybody to think like the other. We just respect that we are different, but we're together. We are all a part of the body of Christ. And so, yes, the conversations do happen, and sometimes they're very strong and rebuff, but at the end of the day, we must come out as a united body.
There has not been an execution in the Bahamas since David Mitchell was executed on January 6, 2000 for killing 2 German tourists. Evidence-based research shows that people who abuse illicit drugs sometimes suffer from mental health issues as well. So says Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Dovell. While speaking with reporters on the sidelines of the Second Caribbean Youth Forum on Drug Use Prevention, a week-long assembly which ends on Friday, Dr. Dovell told reporters that the new Mental Health Act 2022 will address people that abuse drugs and other substances as well.
Evidence-based research is clear. A lot of people who use illicit drugs sometimes suffer from some form of mental illness or mental unwellness. We need to focus on that, and I can tell you in the new Mental Health Act, we will be developing programs to address that issue and that targeted population, because what we do not want to do is, as healthcare professionals, miss cases like that in our schools, at the workplace, where we have an individual who is experiencing severe anxiety disorders, experiencing severe clinical depression, and are medicated by our psychiatrists, but at the same time, they may be a closet drinker to address the anxiety, or they may be using illegal drugs to give them more ability to function in a social setting, and it leads to devastating effects in the long term. So we are definitely developing programs to address that and to target that population through prevention and have them focus on psychiatric care rather than using illegal drugs.
Under general principles of the Mental Health Act 2022, healthcare and related services are to be made available to mentally diagnosed individuals. However, recovering addict Brandis Thompson spoke to a local daily about her battle with drug addiction, which escalated from marijuana to mushrooms or shrooms and eventually cocaine. She expressed her disappointment in the new Mental Health Act, feeling that more preventative care is needed. And finally, in this segment, 39 graduates from the University of the West Indies, UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research, have been sworn in as the newest doctors in the Bahamas. The graduates were robed and took the Hippocratic Oath during a recent swearing and award ceremony at Bahama Resort. Dr. Kalair Edgecombe received the award for the most outstanding student in the 2023 graduating class. Fellow graduate Dr. Hannah Thompson was awarded the most outstanding performer on the final MBBS examinations. Dr. Corrine Sinkui, director of the University of the UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research here in the Bahamas, noted that the 2023 marks 75 years since the opening of the UWI's first campus in Jamaica with 33 medical students back in 1948. UWI has since grown tremendously with campuses also in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, as well as Antigua and Barbuda. UWI now has over 50,000 students and ranks in the top 150 universities worldwide. Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin extending her congratulations to the graduates, while Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Dovell urged the graduates to remain humble and commit themselves to lifelong learning. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.